Um, I guess the big one is Vince McMahon and Jackie Gayda. I don't know if you saw that today. Rene Dupree claimed on his podcast that Jackie was being demoted or depushed, that her career got depushed because Vince came on to her or made advances towards her. And she said no. And I remember at the time, I think it was her and her husband, Charlie Haas, or husband at the time, they both got fired at the same time. And there were like rumors, but no one could confirm it. There were rumors, I don't know, maybe a year or two after that something happened with her and Vince. So I guess that's, well, allegedly happened according to Rene Dupree. I think there's more that's gonna be coming out. Brandon Thurston said that that Vince legally has to file a motion, I believe, or he has to respond to the lawsuit at I believe it's 21 days. So there's a response that is expected by him, WWE, and John Laurinaitis sometime before the end of the week, by Friday, actually, by tomorrow. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Vince? Do you think this is going to get worse? And overall, what do you think about what Rene Dupree said?
So the timeline of everything actually works out. And Renee mentioned this, where they were released in 2000, or the alleged incident happened around then. They were released in 2005. Shortly after all this happens, if we believe the alleged allegations that are going on against Vince from Ashley Massaro and all of the other women involved, it doesn't look good. And every time we think, okay, this is it, more stuff continues to come out with Vince. And it's like, it can't get worse, but it does. And with the lawsuit, I expect them to file it probably today. I don't know when this is going to come out, but by Friday of this week, we should know what was filed and what is the next step, because that's the big question. Because there's so many questions out there and there's not a lot of answers. What's going to come from the federal investigation? Are the other women that previously signed the NDAs and believe that the NDAs are null and void, are they going to come up? And are they going to speak out? Are there going to be other lawsuits? So many questions out there and not enough answers.
Man, I watched, I mean, I can't watch some of that stuff from back then now, because now it's like you go back and you watch it and like, holy crap, man. You got, in 2001, they did that thing when Trish barked like a dog in the middle of the ring. You had Vince and Candice Michelle, all those backstage, and you kind of wonder, like, was Vince, hiring certain people because of certain reasons, and then you see certain people kind of just disappear, and you kind of now you look back, it's like, was there something going on there? Was, I know there's we can't say her name, but and you might have heard the name, but there's a diva from the mid 2000s that is rumored to have there were something went on allegedly between her and Vince. So now it's just kind of like, I don't know. Do you think, do they erase Vince from history? Like, how do you even do that? Like, okay, you can erase Benoit. They don't promote him at anything, but when WWE does the documentaries, I was like, how do you deal with? I don't know. I wonder if he gets erased from history. Like, I think they took him off the open no, they took him off the WWE website, the corporate website, of course, because he's no longer with the company. He no longer has a superstar page on WWE.com. But this is it's pretty serious stuff, and I'm just wondering how WWE moves forward with their stuff and like their history and all that, because he's so tied to it. He's on everything. Mr. McMahon character dominated that show for so many years, him and Austin, and now it's like you can't even talk about that stuff anymore. Like, I just Stone Cold do an interview, and talk about Mr. McMahon, and it's going to be interesting how they deal with it, because this isn't Benoit, who's just a character on a show. This is Vince, who dominated that show for so many years and the owner of the company. And it's going to be odd, just to hear how they handle this going forward. And, hey, maybe Vince is innocent of all this stuff. Maybe, maybe, the worst thing he did was cheat on his wife, and the other stuff was consensual and this and that, blah, blah, blah. But there sure does seem to be a lot of smoke to the fire to all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And there's more stuff that's going to be coming out too. There's been, I mean, rumblings about other stuff too. So, and we might be hearing it in the next few weeks. I think Ann Callis, the attorney for Janelle Grant, even said that she has spoken to other people, alleged victims, and that they may be speaking out. So we'll see. But
I think you handle it similar to the Chris Benoit situation, obviously on a much, much deeper level, just because of the history and everything involved. But I don't think you can handle it any other way other than if the allegations are believed to be true, then yes, you have to demonize him. You can't celebrate him. And I would think you just try to erase him from history as much as possible. When he's mentioned in interviews, just say, look, yes, he's part of our history, but we don't condone his actions. They're, just demonize him as much as possible and just kind of move on, because it really is similar to the Chris Benoit thing in terms of how you handle it. It's just on a very much deeper level. And it does help that they are under the TKO banner now. It's not necessarily just the McMahon family. Stephanie's not in there. I understand Triple H is still running creative, but like, it is a little bit of a different dynamic now. And then we'll see how it moves forward. But so many questions.